Imagine this. You build your absolute dream city, a capital that reflects every single one of your ideals, only to just walk away from it forever. Today, we're diving into Fatehpur Sikri, one of India's greatest and most fascinating historical mysteries.
So, picture it, the 16th century. The great Mughal Emperor Akbar gives the order to build this absolutely massive imperial city. This wasn't just any city. It was meant to be the very heart of his empire, a showpiece of his power and his vision, complete with palaces, mosques, and huge public halls. But here's the kicker, the mystery that's had historians scratching their heads for centuries. After pouring so much money and effort into building this perfect city, it was basically deserted in less than a generation. So what on earth happened?
Well, to find the answer, we have to go back to why it was built in the first place. And that story, believe it or not, starts with its name. You know, the name itself tells you so much. Fateh is an Arabic word, and it means victory. Sikri means giving thanks to God. So right from the get-go, this was meant to be a city of victorious gratitude. A huge win for the empire for sure, but also something deeply personal for the man who built it.
And the man behind it all? Emperor Akbar. Now, Akbar wasn't just a conqueror, he was a true visionary. He was well known for his interest in different ideas, his strong belief in religious tolerance, and this deep desire to bring together all the different cultures of his massive kingdom. And that philosophy, he would literally build it into the city's stones.
And what's really interesting is that the reason for building Fatehpur Sikri wasn't some strategic military move or a simple administrative choice. Nope, it's a story all about faith.
Yeah, before any of this incredible architecture existed, there was a really human problem. Emperor Akbar, one of the most powerful men in the world, didn't have a son to carry on his dynasty. So he looked for spiritual help to solve this very personal crisis.
He actually traveled to a humble little village called Sikri to get a blessing from a famous Sufi saint, Salim Chishti. And the story goes that the saint prophesied that Akbar would indeed have a son, a blessing that would change the entire future of the empire.
And just like the saint said, it happened. In 1569, Prince Salim was born. Akbar was so overjoyed and so grateful that he decided the best way to honor the saint in this special place was to build his brand new capital right there, turning this quiet village into the center of the entire Mughal world. And this whole origin story, this act of gratitude, is so important because it shaped everything about the city's unique character. It really is a true fusion in stone.
The architecture here is what experts call syncretic, and all that really means is a deliberate, really thoughtful mix of different traditions to create something totally new. It was Akbar's philosophy of cultural unity made real, a physical symbol of a composite culture.
So on one side, you've got the traditional Indian styles, which are often massive, incredibly ornate, and full of these fantastic, detailed carvings. And on the other side, you have the Islamic style, which was all about geometric patterns, simplicity, and a feeling of lightness. Two very different ways of thinking about building.
And right here, you can see exactly how they came together. Look at that. You've got these heavy, super detailed brackets that you normally see in Indian temples, and they are blended seamlessly with these clean, elegant arches that are a classic feature of Persian and Islamic design. It's not a clash at all. It's like a conversation happening in stone.
And the mix was, it was truly global. The whole city is mostly built from local red sandstone, but the shapes and forms are often Persian. You can find symbols and patterns carved in a Gujarati style, some structural ideas that were inspired by Buddhist temples, and these incredibly delicate carved marble screens called jalis. It was like a crossroads of the world's greatest art forms.
All right, so let's take a quick look around at some of the most jaw-dropping spots that came out of this incredible fusion.
Okay, first up, I'm just going to give you a number, 54 meters. To put that in perspective, that's about the height of a 15-story building. What in the world could be that tall back in a 16th century city? Well, that is the height of the Buland Darwaza, the Gate of Victory. Akbar had it built to celebrate his conquest of Gujarat, and it's basically a gigantic triumphal arch designed to completely awe anyone who came near it. And get this, it is still the highest gateway in the entire world.
Then you've got the Pancha Mahal, or five-level palace. This thing is an architectural marvel. It's this open-sided building that almost seems to float upwards. It starts at the bottom with a huge base of 84 columns, and then each level gets smaller and smaller until you get to the very top with just a single little canopy supported by only 4 columns. And of course, the city was built for governing. There was the Diwan-i-Am, this huge hall for public audiences where anyone could speak to the emperor. And then, for the really important private meetings, there was the Diwan-i-Khas. It's famous for this magnificent central pillar, an absolute masterpiece of carving that actually held up Akbar's throne.
Okay, so you have this perfectly planned city, an architectural wonder, and a symbol of a great emperor's entire vision. Which brings us right back to that big question. Why did they leave?
Seriously, after all of that? All that work, all that personal meaning, baked right into the stones? Why would anyone just get up and leave? What could have possibly gone so wrong?
The answer wasn't a war or some terrible plague. It was something much, much more basic. Water. The city got all its water from a big man-made lake that was fed by a river that only flowed during certain seasons. For a huge, bustling capital city, it just wasn't enough. The grand vision had a fatal flaw.
And that was it. In 1585, less than 15 years after he began his dream project, Emperor Akbar just packed up and moved his capital. The dream was over. By 1610, Fatehpur Sikri was, for all intents and purposes, a ghost town.
But you know, even though it's silent now, Fatehpur Sikri still has a lot to say. It's this stunning, perfectly preserved example of what cultural fusion can look like. It might have failed as a practical city, but it absolutely succeeded as an idea. Which kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What can this 500-year-old dream of bringing everyone together teach us about bridging divides in our own world today?